Well, I want to tell everybody who we have on this show right now. We're welcoming former UFC fighter, Hall of Famer, Stephan, the American Psycho Bonnar, onto Pro Wrestling Force podcast in conjunction with the Fightlete Report. And of course, we'll be wrestling Tom Lawlor, Fighting Spirt Heavyweight Grand Prix. Everybody check it out. November 6th. And it's going to be a very exciting matchup between two former UFC fighters in the squared circle. Going to be very excited. And also, you've made appearances on Impact Wrestling, Black Label Pro, and FSW in Las Vegas as well.
You.
Yeah, and also Silver Wolf Training Gym in Las Vegas, Nevada is a gym you're operating right now. So welcome aboard on the Fightlete Report again.
Plugging that. Yes, sir. And everyone out there, I know you all smoke weed. Order through hightiva.com and learn about it. Cannabis on demand. So really educational website. Check it out, hightiva.com, HYTIVA.
Definitely. We'll check that out for sure. First thing is talk about what's been happening since this pandemic. I know, fortunately, most of the plans were postponed, canceled. You were booked for WrestleMania weekend, among other, obviously among other things for the past few months. So how did you deal with those things, and what were you looking forward to the most?
Honestly, that would have been my first WrestleMania. And I had a good amount of bookings, and it would have been epic to say the least. So that kind of sucked, but the whole world had to suffer, not just poor little old me. And the world started opening up again, and was fortunate enough to do a couple wrestling shows this last month, the Paradigm Pro Wrestling show and the Indie Wrestling Expo down in Dallas the other week. And I was so thankful to just be working and performing, and I really felt a lot more gratitude because it had been taken away from us.
For sure. And did you feel safe at those events with the social distancing and all the precautions?
Dude, it's all a hype, man. The coronavirus jerk off. Remember the SARS virus that killed a couple million people? No, you probably don't remember that. Why? Because it wasn't before an election. No one cared. Nothing was shut down. It's all political. It's all power moves too by the rich. So it means nothing to me. No, I'm purposely washing my hands even less now. I don't get sick.
For sure. Now, what made you interested in becoming a pro wrestler after MMA? Like, was there a particular?
I never thought I'd fight in the UFC. That was like a bigger dream. As a little kid, I knew there definitely was a great shot I'd be pro wrestling someday. Like, I knew it in the deepest part of my heart. I always wanted to be a fighter and a martial artist, but I never really believed I'd be fighting the UFC, Okay, where were we? Oh yeah, as a little kid, I grew up in the 80s. There wasn't a UFC. So my dad would take us to the Rosemont Horizon to see Hogan and Bundy and the Beefcake and Valentine, the Bulldogs and the Macho Man Steamboat. With my heart of hearts, was wanting to be a pro wrestler. And then the 90s came along and the UFC came out. And of course, I fell in love with that. But I just did what I loved and loved doing the martial arts, and one thing led to another, and kind of happened by accident. I found myself in the UFC. I had a great career. And then I realized, my God, I never did my childhood dream of being a pro wrestler. And I remember when I was turning 40, that's when it hit me that it just was like a fire under my butt to start the pro wrestling. And I did. And it's fun because I'm actually getting better. The MMA after the 10-year mark wasn't so fun because I realized I wasn't getting better, and kind of the body was falling apart. Coming off your mid-30 prime, you hit your decline, and it's not a good feeling. But when you're learning something and getting better and feeling the difference from one match to another, and just terms of reading the crowd and little things, and knowing the amount of improvement you got, that is exciting. That's good. That's good for you. It's good for your brain, good for your heart. And to experience that at 43 is awesome. I feel like I'm a blue belt in pro wrestling. If you don't know, it goes white, blue, purple, brown, black. So I feel, I'm getting there. I have a purple belt soon. I'm going to get better at pro wrestling at this age. And I'm flying off the top rope like the Macho Man. And I could do it on my own terms twice a month. And if I had to do it every night, it'd probably be a lot harder on me physically.
Sure.
So it's great.
Do you envision a homecoming of sorts when you come back to Chicago for a big wrestling event? I don't think you've ever wrestled in Chicago. Correct me if I'm wrong. And would that be huge for you?
Yeah, I had a Bourbon Street match lined up on the South Side when this hit AEW. Well, yeah, you know that. So yeah, that would be really huge. And the closest thing I had was the Black Label Homecoming in Crown Point. But I could milk it for all it's worth. I haven't had my Chicago homecoming. There's a difference. There's a borderline between the two states, and I've lived in both. So yes, Chicago homecoming, baby.
Okay. Looking forward to it. Hopefully next year. Now, talk about your pro wrestling moveset. Like, how is it inspired by your MMA experience? You know, when the gloves come off, like, talk about, being able to just, flow with that.
Honestly, it's coming along. What I need more than anything, even my first match with Sho Tanaka, it was a good, entertaining match. But really, like when I do a belly to belly, really limited pro wrestling. It's mostly MMA moves that look good for pro wrestling, spin kicks and good submission holds. So that part was easy for me. But I mean, to develop the pro wrestling part of the game, like knowing which moves I like. I like the spine buster. I like the lariat 360 clothesline. I like the power bomb, and I like flying off the roof like the Macho Man. Me and Baroni had a great finishing move with the Real Shooters, and unfortunately, no one got to see it because we split before our debut. But we actually just got offer for NWA, the Real Shooter. We'll see if we could pull it together and get along well enough to have our debut match. I don't know. He's a fucking jerk. He is a fucking jerk off. I don't know if he'll make it to the match.
Yeah, notorious is the New York badass, Phil Baroni.
It's more like the NYBABY. He's a baby. He's a spoiled rich kid. Massapequa. That's like grew up with a gated community in Massapequa with a bunch of rich kids. Yeah. He's a spoiled rich jerk off.
Well, I mean, would you make it without your former partner in tag team wrestler? Could you take on another fighter under your wing, possibly Shoney Carter, fellow Chicago native? He asked me to ask you that.
Yes. Yeah, Shoney? Wow. Yeah, that would be epic, man. I haven't seen Shoney since I think it was somewhere in Ohio, Cincinnati, at a strip club. It was a great time.
Oh, sorry. Well, I'm going to drag him to this upcoming show at Paradigm on November 6th. I'm going to drag him there.
Do it, Shoney. I'm down. I mean that. That'd be great. Tagging with Shoney Carter.
Definitely. And that's a huge opportunity to NWA Power. Have you gotten to watch some of the content they produce, even during this time that they're not doing live wrestling?
Full feel to it. Right? The show? Does it remind you of like the golden era of the old school wrestling days where guys actually like probably had been in a fight in their lives, a real fight? Like I miss those days of pro wrestling. And it's like the WWE has lost its power. It really has. It's piss. Sorry to say it. It's lost it, man. The indies have strength. They're taking power away from the almighty WWE, especially the way the world's connected over the internet now. And we see that now with the AEW. They're putting on a hell of a show and getting people watching. These indie shows are coming to life. It's an exciting time to be a part of pro wrestling. And this is a big world, a lot of places to wrestle. Some of my favorite shows, IWS in Montreal. Speedball Bailey, me and him had my match up there. But what was a great show, great indie show. House of Glory in New York City, where I had my debut. A hell of an indie show. PCW in LA, hell of a show. Yeah, so there's these gems all over the world that are just so much fun to wrestle on, be a part of shows that have loyal, good fans. That it's like that's what pro wrestling's all about to me. Honestly, it's the indies.
Definitely. I'm excited to see more of you, of course, and we can't wait for Paradigm because that's going to be on November 6th. Fighting Spirit Super Heavyweight Championship, and you and Tom Lawlor. It's going to be exciting.
Maybe that'll be my third time. You know, I had that hardcore match with Matthew Justice last time. My first hardcore match. That was a trip. So, yeah, they put on a good show, man. Yeah, November 6th coming up, man. Once again with Paradigm Pro Wrestling. Yes, I'm going to put on a show for those guys.
Definitely. We'll be promoting it as much as we can. The Collective is also coming up, if you heard of that. I'm not sure if you're going to be watching that if you're not a part of it. That seems like an interesting.
No, I'm not a part of it. Yeah, I'd like to be, but yeah, I'll have my eye out for that.
Maybe scout Tom Lawlor ahead of time.
Yeah, that's who I got in Paradigm down there. Old Filthy Tom. We're finally gonna have a match. Good old Filthy, baby. We had a pose down at I don't know if you knew that it was a physique contest. Anyway, yeah, in Vegas here. It was part of a bodybuilding show.
Okay.
Then we had a showdown. We had to go to a head-to-head pose down, and I beat him.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So it'll be a big revenge.
Yes, I humiliated him. Shame.
I'm sure Shoney would be proud. Now, Shoney would want to ask you if he was here, did you wear a Speedo? Because that's Shoney's thing. Shoney's always likes to.
That's all him. I'm back to the early 2000s fight shorts I used to wear. Yeah.
That's a Shoney thing. He said that he'd actually like to wrestle in one. Imagine that.
Yeah, I used to fight them. Why not? Yeah.
For sure.
Of course. Pro wrestling, man. Yeah, you gotta like wait. This is what you do in pro wrestling. You amplify whatever you used to do. So imagine him in the Speedo and the pimp outfit, and then gotta check that out. Yeah.
Yeah, I know. Just have him come out with Mandy Leon or some of the female wrestlers.
I know. How do you spice up that? You know. Remember him coming up for the fights in the UFC? Dana did not like that. He didn't want him doing that. He did that like against Dana's kicking and screaming. He didn't care.
I love Shoney. And that's why I think the pro wrestling world needs Shoney Carr. Like he could make that transition so seemingly easily because that's what he's all about. Yeah,
exactly. Too many guys they care way too much. How did that look today? Yeah. Instead of going out there and doing their thing, got a little bunch of brown nosers. Yeah, show them really it's not doing it for people. The numbers are pissed. So whatever. I don't care. Like, I don't care. I don't say what I want. I'm not kissing anyone's ass. I'm fucking doing thing and I'll say it. I'll say what everyone's thinking. Whatever. I'm speaking the truth.
Definitely. Now you had the nice feud with Moose. I mean, you and him at Impact Wrestling. That went on for a couple years. Obviously, it ended the way you didn't want it to end. Obviously with that confrontation before his epic match with Ken Shamrock. But talk about that match and your time with Impact Wrestling. And did you help Shamrock get ready for that match?
Yeah, it was cool. I got to work for him, and it just shows how in pro wrestling the angles are never really closed until you can just keep it going like that. So yeah, I did that thing with Moose, and went on, did a bunch of other shows. Kind of forgot about Impact, and it was cool. We did the pay-per-view, and then all of a sudden, hey, you and Moose tag teamed and everything, but you guys never fought each other and feuded. Wow, all right. Let's finish the angle. In pro wrestling, you can't be friends with someone without fighting them too. And we had fun.
True.
Yeah.
I was kind of holding out hope that you would get involved in the match between Shamrock and Moose because I was there for Bound for Glory in Chicago.
Yeah, me too. But oh well. They came out to Vegas and it was probably last minute. Oh shit. You know it'd be cool? Yeah. It worked though. Like that was fun. I was in shape too. I had just done that thing with Lawler, so it's
Okay.
body.
Nice.
Uh,
And then what did you think about Frank wrestling again?
Ken,
Yeah, that's what I meant. Ken Shamrock, my bad.
he looked great, and it was actually an inspiration because like I'm like, how much longer do I want to do this? And then I see him at what's he 55,
I don't know.
and I say I got 10 more years easily. If I want.
Definitely.
Never retire from pro wrestling. No one retires.
True.
Like, or you just do it 100 times, like Terry Funk. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, he was 70 and retired at least 100 times. Yeah.
For sure. So my next question is talk about, now that wrestling is back, like how do you feel if you were to return to the ring again? Anyone you'd like to wrestle? Like, would you like to wrestle Brock Lesnar since he's a free agent? Like, anybody out there that has caught your eye that you like, I can't wait to get in the ring with them. I mean, we got guys like Calvin Tankman, who's gained a lot of national attention and exposure as well recently. So you got guys that are kind of fresh and
now, like, I'd really like my very first match. I was supposed to fight. I always call it fight, wrestle Matt Riddle, and then like the day of the event, he had to pull out. He had like staff or something. So I had that match with Sho Tanaka. But like, yeah, Matt Riddle, baby, another UFC guy. Got the match with Lawler coming up. Have my match with Lawler. Who else? Matt Riddle, and I mean. Honestly, if there's one guy I admire and really tip my hat off to, man, like his wrestling game is really good. It's he's solid and mixes up the MMA well with the pro wrestling moves, and he's a good worker. So, yeah, if I could pick one guy, it would be first and foremost Matt Riddle. Is he still with the WWE?
Yeah, he's still with WWE.
That's great then.
Yeah. That'd be a great matchup. You and him together.
Yeah. And then the tag team Real Shooters 2.0, me and Barnett, Screw Baroni.
Talk about, rewatching, actually it's been 15 years since you fought Forrest Griffin. Upon rewatching the fight, someone I talked to said he thought you won. So what do you think about that decision to this day?
I had to lose. It needed the everything went the way it should have. Yes. Right. Yeah. If I would have won that fight, it would have ruined everything. Ruined everything. It wouldn't have put the sport over the way it needed to. Imagine Forrest running out of the cage, throwing a temper tantrum and crying. Everyone would have had a bad taste left in their mouth. And it wouldn't have fell in love. People need to fall in love with the sport of MMA.
Definitely.
Being an egregious loser is exactly what it needed.
Yeah, and both of you definitely contributed, to the UFC with such an incredible fight, and you guys had a rematch after that. Never a trilogy fight, but, I'm sure maybe one day a promoter might come up to you guys and try to make that happen if it hasn't already, right?
No, he's a company brass man.
Right.
He is, yep. I think he got UFC tattooed on his scrotum. He would never do it. Never in a million years. Chicken first. You chicken?
Maybe in a wrestling ring, though, if he ever, had the inkling.
Forrest would never do it. He's a chicken.
Yeah.
He wouldn't do it for a million. I guarantee you. Oh, the UFC won't let me. Yeah.
Well, talk about Diego Sanchez. We were just mentioning about his fight with Jake Matthews. I know training at your gym, and talk about why he still has the fire to come out on top against another young athlete like him. I know his last fight, although he won against Michelle Pereira, didn't want it to see it go down like that with an illegal blow. So talk about what's driving him for this fight.
Back in 04 on the show, I knew that Diego's mind was incredibly strong, and he knows at his very purpose of being put here is to be a fighter, and that's what he is. And he went up and he's been fighting 20 years now, right? And he kind of plateaued, had a couple of rough losses, and he needed to change his style. He needed to switch things up. He couldn't just keep going smashing head on against these guys, especially these huge guys that cut a lot of weight. So he had to adjust it, make some tweaks, and he's done that, and he's looked great. He's been on a roll, looked great against what's his name?
Mickey Gall.
Yeah, and then I'm talking. Yeah, exactly. We got the win with Gall, and Pierre is a bad mofo. Like, you see his last fight, and he was hanging in there in the third round with them. And this fight, Matthews, this is a great fight for Diego. And Diego believes in himself, and he's ready, and he's been able to adapt and be pointed in that right direction to find himself as a fighter again, and adapt and not go head to head and tweak little things. But he's going to go in there and do what he does best, which is fight, just in a slightly different way, which is exactly what he needs to do at this point.
Yeah, and I believe that the familiarity of you both, having trained together on the first tough season, that's going to also come into play. And, I'm sure he's very comfortable with your guidance at this point, too. Is that correct?
Yeah, I don't even need to talk to him. We could communicate by thought in there. And that's
Nice.
a big advantage.
Excellent. And so when you see this fight happen, how do you feel it plays out? You think it's going to be a quick fight, going to be all 3 rounds, or how do you see Sanchez taking the nod?
Like I said, Diego is his own style, and he's aggressive, and he's a pressure fighter, and that's what he's going to do. He's just going to do it a little more smart, not take as much damage as he used to. Just go ahead, hit me, I'll walk right through it. So now he's like, okay, maybe slip him a little too, but he's still going to be aggressive and take it to this guy, and he's going to get to him. He's a pressure fighter, and he's great in the scrambles, and I think that's where we're going to see the difference in this fight.
Yeah, I'm excited for it. Well, I appreciate you, Stephan, for being on Pro Wrestling Enforcer podcast. Actually, my next question was, what is your favorite sport outside of MMA? Do you have one, and are you happy that it has returned?
I'd have to say, outside MMA, my favorite sport is the sport of professional wrestling, and hell yes, I'm happy it's returned, brother. Diego Sanchez coming up, UFC 253. Fight Island, Abu Dhabi. Oh, Diego, man. Fight of the night coming up. You're not going to want to miss this. Old school Diego in his corner, just like 2001, baby. Jake Matthews. Yeah, you're going to have your hands full, Jake. You're going to have your hands full. I'll tell you that much. Can't wait.
And the Fight Islands.
Baby. School of self-awareness, rebirth, give up the ego trip, start all over, die and be born again.
Nice. Yeah, definitely Diego is a psychological guy, and being on the Fight Island just seems like a perfect fit for him. Talking about that atmosphere.
The dragon, this is what he was born to do, go on an island and off on the other side of the world and fight on the world stage. And he shines when he's on the world stage. How many of those epic fighting nights have we seen him in? And man, I'm feeling good about this one.
Woo! Definitely. And this is going to be the first fight you've worked with him for this, right?
Well, yeah, besides, well, no, we were on the opposite teams. I was saying the Ultimate Fighter, where yeah.
Definitely. It's going to be exciting. I'm
We
sorry?
were bunk mates.
That's true. That counts, right? That definitely counts.
It really does. Yeah. I couldn't sleep. I was having bad overtraining, insomnia. Diego, just choke me out, brother.
Sure.
Yeah.
And then when you look at other fighters that have come and trained with you, anyone that you feel in particular that we should be looking out for, that you feel has that eye of the tiger, that we'll be hearing their name soon in the future?
Let's see. We got a couple AMAs there, young guys, but who should I say? Oh, yes, he's going to make a comeback. He's actually at the tail end of his career. He's fought on, he's been a part of Combate Americas, Rudy Morales. So he had some health issues, got a like respiratory disease, and he, really worried, almost, was worried he might die, actually. It's serious stuff.
Oh,
But
wow.
he's on the other side, and he's taken a fight again. So I'll be supporting him 100%. He's one of the instructors at my gym, Silver Wolf. So I'll give him a little shout out with this one.
All right. Definitely. Well, he's welcome on Fightlete Report anytime. And what can we expect with your match with Tom Lawlor, the filthy one? Again, it's going to be Paradigm Pro Wrestling November 6th, and it's going to be an exciting matchup. I'm so excited, and Stephen, I will be there for this one.
I mean, the only way to go in there with the filthy one is to get down and dirty. And, I'm not going to shower. I'm going to soil my trunks a couple of times. I'm going to stink palm them. I'm going to use all the dirtiest tricks in the book for this match. You better believe it. I'm getting dirty in there.
Yeah, we're very excited for this one. And Stephan Bonnar, the American Psycho, been a pleasure to have you on Pro Wrestling Force podcast in conjunction with the Fight Report. And anyone you'd like to thank, go ahead. Anything you'd like to plug? I know you've got some companies that you want to definitely get their name out that you're endorsing. So go ahead. The floor is yours.
Oh, I mean, just stay healthy. Don't catch COVID. Drink your real water. Order your weed through Hitiva. And then, see Diego, UFC 253, Fight Island, Nightmare Sanchez, representing School of Self-Awareness. You're not going to want to miss it. Fight of the night performance. Guaranteed.
Definitely. And everybody, of course, go to Pro Wrestling Tees. I think you have a store up there, right, Stephan Bonnar? You have a Stephan Bonnar store at Pro Wrestling Tees?
Yeah. Just whatever.
Hey, man. Hey, I'm wearing Pro Wrestling Tees, so, got to represent, right?
Yes, on my behalf.
Yes.
But November 6th, Paradigm Pro Wrestling. I will see you there.
Yes, definitely. I will see you there too, Stephan. And we're going to appreciate being on the Fight Board. Best of luck to Diego Sanchez at UFC 253. Can't wait.
All right. Thanks, brother.